Too Much is a podcast series proudly supported by Victoria Police, who are looking for more women to join their ranks. Consider making the switch and explore a career with Victoria Police. Visit the link in the show notes or head to police.vic.gov.au.
I was that reliable dancer. I was that one you could put on for opening night, do the big ballets. I was that person. I delivered. And so it is really strange for me to now be in this role where I'm second guessing myself entirely. And it's because it is life and death.
Every woman remembers a time they were too something at work. Too ambitious, too soft, too bossy. Hi, I'm Briana Blackett, your host for Season 3 of Too Much, The Switch. I started out as a journalist. I lived abroad and travelled the world, helping to cover breaking news. I co-founded an international news organisation. But since becoming a parent and solo carer to my 2 kids, my working life has needed to change over and over again. And I'm not alone. Join me as I interview 8 extraordinary women who made the switch from one career to another and found success. We'll also find out how defying the suffocating stereotypes women face at work helped them get there. To be a prima ballerina is an act of elite athletics, requiring extraordinary physical and mental strength. For almost 2 decades, Lana Jones was a principal dancer at the Australian Ballet, celebrated for lead roles in Swan Lake, Giselle, and Sleeping Beauty. And still, she was told she was too strong. After an illustrious career, Lana stepped away from the spotlight to retrain as a midwife. Today she joins me to discuss how being too strong has helped her soar from the stage to the delivery room. Lana Jones, thank you for joining us on Too Much. This season we're talking to women who made the switch from one career to another. Can you share a little bit about your career journey?
I've had a massive career shift, actually. It's been very exciting and also a massive personal growth for me. So I started off as principal ballerina with the Australian Ballet, and I was with them for 17 years, so a 17-year career with them. I had my son in that time, and then I went back on stage with him, and then I realized that I had not met my full potential, but my love had started to change and my priorities had shifted. Obviously, having a child is a big shift for a woman anyway. So I definitely got to that point where I was looking at what next for myself. I knew I wanted to have a different career whilst I was in the ballet and a change. And so I was always thinking about what next. And I definitely wanted to do something that wasn't about me, that was also about other people caring in that scenario. And then when I had my son, I had an awesome experience with the midwives. And I thought, that's it. I can really marry the 2 passions that I have, caring about people, something not about me, but also that physicality and the trust in your body and the capabilities you can do with it. So I thought it had something to do in that realm. And so I decided to be a midwife. And I'm still very much on that journey to be a midwife. I'm a midwife. I'm registered. But it is definitely the hardest thing I've ever done.
I can imagine. Well, speaking of hard, we talk to women on this program about what their too something was. Some people have been told they're too opinionated or too quiet or too bossy. Your too something, your too much was too strong. When were you first told you were too strong and why?
Definitely when I was a dancer, this was a lot more apparent than it is in my current career, but I had a great physicality about me and a natural strength about me as a dancer. And I think sometimes there's that opposing vision that a dancer needs to be fragile and vulnerable. And I had to really learn how to kind of overcome that, or almost maybe it was a persona that I would put on because I never thought I was enough. So I would be strong, not in an aggressive personality point of view, but just in terms of ability and physicality, maybe. So I definitely was told as a dancer, because you're strong, and that was kind of like a backhanded, it was a negative, but it actually was quite a positive for me in the end, because that's what gave me my illustrious career, and I was able to perform all those very challenging roles and the physical roles and all the stamina-based things as well. So I've learned to love it, and I know now that it's not actually a negative. It was actually quite a positive attribute, and I definitely saw that in action too when I went to London to the Royal Ballet and I saw Mariella Nunez, a beautiful ballerina, and she had this beautiful strength about her, but she was also very much an elegant, vulnerable gentle ballerina at the same time. And I was like, that's it. I can be both.
So can you tell us more about that journey? How did you work through that process of becoming okay with being both?
It was a big self journey, and I think I had to dig really deep, and it was definitely finding the inner confidence within myself that I was enough and I can just be me. I don't have to put on any airs or graces or change myself. Obviously, when you're dancing on stage, you're being a character, so you're very much putting on characters and things like this. But for me, it was finding that strength to be within and to be gentle and not necessarily external. It was a great discovery. And even though I was told I was too strong, that led me to find that vulnerability anyway. So it was worth it.
It's interesting how you had to draw upon your strengths to overcome being labelled as too strong. What's it like to be told that this strength is actually a weakness?
It makes you question yourself, and definitely self-doubt, and that there's a lot of self-doubt being a dancer. You're standing there being critiqued every day, and it's definitely hard to change that. And I have struggled with that in midwifery, absolutely, because I never thought I was that affected by ballet in a negative way at all, but definitely that perfectionism has really come into play and really been a barrier to my learning as a midwife. You're presented with different things every single day. You cannot be perfect by any means. And it's changing my approach in how I learn and how I build on my knowledge and move forward, and not letting things really get to me and really bring me down, which is kind of, it's hard. I know my too much is too strong, but in this, there's so much, it's like too much doubt. It's such an opposite and conflicting moment for me, I think. And I guess the strength is how I've managed to stay and keep going, because there has been so many times where I'm like, I can't do this. I cannot do this.
Okay, well, let's talk more about that story of how you moved into midwifery, because you're right. It's one of the most challenging professions I can think of. You retired from the Australian Ballet after a really incredible career. How did you know it was time? And then what made you think about something as demanding and as specific as midwifery? I mean, rather than staying in the dance world and maybe working in choreography.
I was definitely drawn by wanting to expand myself, wanting to push my knowledge. I liked the idea of reinventing myself. I'd always been known as Lana the dancer, and I started to just feel a bit dimensional. I don't think I was great at pushing myself outside that realm. So I very much wanted to do something that would encourage me to do that. And midwifery was a great combination of the physicality and also the caring nature, the supportive side, the cheerleader. I absolutely love that part about what I do, and getting women and their families to believe in themselves, their bodies, their capabilities, and just supporting them, helping them through one of the most challenging moments of their life. It's pretty special.
You went back to uni to become a midwife, and that was in your late 30s, and you'd been away from formal study for quite a bit of time before then. What was that transition like?
Outrageous. I was beside myself. I was absolutely a mess. I was going back to uni, and there's a lot of a young cohort there too. Midwifery does have quite a mature age cohort as well, but majority was young. And I remember sitting in one of my first lectures with a notepad and a pen, and I'm looking down this auditorium, and it's full of laptops and all these young, amazing tech-savvy people grabbing their OneNote and highlighting this and moving that to there and changing this to that to there. And I'm trying to keep up writing with my pen on my piece of paper. I'm just like, I can't do this. This is going to be so hard. I don't know how I'm going to be able to get through this degree.
So before you could even switch into your new role, it's like you had to switch into this entirely new environment of study again.
I had to navigate the beast of university. That in itself was a challenge for me. And I think being that perfectionist, I just thought I had to absolutely absorb every single bit of information, and it just wasn't possible. And I had to really start from then to change. Like, you need to change now. If you're going to keep up, you've just got to be okay with just that slow drip of information, the gradual build, the gradual knowledge, and just work towards it. I'm not academic. I'm not an academic by any stretch of the imagination. So for me, sitting and all that reading and writing and essays, I was just like looking outside myself going, who are you? This is so strange for me. Definitely a lot of the transferable skills, the discipline, the self-motivation, that stuff got me through time management. You know, I was a mom at that time, so I was putting Velasco to bed and studying till midnight at night, getting up for him in the morning. So you just got that juggle, and time was really of the essence. So I had to make it productive. I had to make it work.
How did you know it was time to leave ballet and do something else?
I loved doing ballet. And I think after coming back from Velasco, my priorities did shift a fair bit. And I did realize that I was coming into the studio day after day, and I was looking around and I was seeing the young ones, and they were so hungry for it. And I was thinking, I don't feel like that anymore. I feel like I was slowly just stepping away. And I think having a family for me was part of that process of shedding that ballerina and that career. I did want to go back because obviously I wanted to get fit again, but also I wanted to prove to myself that I could make it back on stage. But that juggle was enormous. So for me, there wasn't a defining one single moment. I did know when I performed on stage and Velasco and Daniel had been away, they were coming home, and I met them back at home, and I was so excited to see them, and Velasco just pushed me away and was crying. And I remember that really breaking me and thinking, well, nothing I do out there is worth that for me. So I feel like I'm missing out on so much with him. That was a big moment for me. Yeah, that hurt a lot. But I had been processing it for a while. I had been trying to decide when the right time is. And it's hard. It's your first love, essentially, ballet. And I did. I loved it. And the company were amazing to me, and my career was so fulfilled. So I definitely felt satisfied, and I was fortunate to get the opportunity to finish on my terms and not due to an injury or anything like that. But I definitely remember feeling that, you know, you're doing your warm-up bar and you're looking around and you're just seeing people just hunger in their eyes. And I was like, yeah, that's not me anymore. But I was okay with it.
And when you first started talking about moving into midwifery as a career, what were other people's reactions? Because it would have been pretty unexpected from a prima ballerina, I would expect. Did everyone support your decision?
The people that are close to me, they know my personality. And if I say I'm going to do something, I think they were like, okay, yep, that's great. You do that. They know I'm going to go there. Some people had doubts, definitely. We had career advisors doing a transition kind of program at the Australian Ballet, and they weren't very supportive in my choice. They were really trying to talk me out of it in a sense, like, oh, you'll need to get pretty high marks, really good marks to get it, even to get into that course. Yeah, not sure if you'll make that. So I don't know, and that was probably a moment to spur me on a little bit.
And here we come back to that battle between doubt and overcoming that doubt. Would you say that you're too much, you're too strong, probably helped you respond to that?
Well, because I'd already made up my mind. I was like, I don't need this career advisor to tell me that's what I can or can't do. I'm like, I'm going to do that. That's what I'm doing. That's what I planned. So that's what I'm going to do.
So, okay, you went out, you went back to university. What was it like actually starting out as a midwife?
Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. The amount of pressure and the stress and the responsibility, accountability. There is so much there that made me really scared I wasn't enough to do this job. We have a great team where I work and people are really supportive, but I nearly stopped midwifery. I was in a hospital where I was extremely busy. I wasn't in a new graduate position at that point because I knew if I'd stepped away and had a longer break that I was scared I wouldn't keep going. I needed to just keep jumping in. I needed to stay in amongst it and immerse myself in it to just keep pushing forward because I was scared. I was scared that I'd made the wrong decision, that this career is going to be too hard for me, too much. I'm never going to feel like I can do it.
When I sit across from you and I know your history, your beautiful work, for me, there would be nothing more terrifying than standing on a stage and having to perform within a millimetre of perfection every single night. To me, that is so frightening. And yet you seem to be more afraid of this new role. Can you talk about how being a ballerina helped you prepare to be a midwife, but also how this new role is drawing out new challenges, but also maybe new strengths for you?
It's taken a while to find some similarities in this career. Pressure, because I was okay with pressure. I'd worked on that for myself in the ballet, and I was that reliable dancer. I was that one you could put on for opening night, do the big ballets, the big opening nights. I was that person. I delivered. And so it is really strange for me to now be in this role where I'm second guessing myself entirely. And it's because it is life and death. It's not a performance. It's not stepping out on stage and being someone else. And at the end of the day, if I make a mistake out there, it's not actually going to have a long-lasting impact on another individual. Whereas the accountability and the responsibility I hold now, it's massive. I'm directly involved in an individual's care and can have a pivotal shift, positive or negative, for that individual. So it is daunting and it is nerve-wracking, and it's hard sometimes for me to find those similarities. I mean, I definitely get an adrenaline buzz when I am working with a woman and she's absolutely exhausted. She's got these eyes of desperation. She's looking at me, and if I clock into her and she meets me where she's at and I help her through that and I can make a change for that person in that moment, that is definitely a dopamine fix for me, and the adrenaline kicks in there and I feel like I can do this. I know there's something about those hormones, that cascade that happens, that you kick in, you're like, yep, you can do this. Come on, Lana. And I'm there for that person. And I think when I'm not thinking about myself and I'm putting myself in there for them, then I can meet up to it.
I guess the main difference that I'm seeing is that, you know, there is such precision and control involved on stage. And now you've moved into an environment where you basically have very little control except to be able to support the person in whatever comes during that process.
Absolutely. Ballet is very controlled. I've lived that life for such a long time. 33 years of my life turned up for training, for classes, rehearsals. As a professional, you're set when you have your holidays. You're set, you're going on tour here. It's all made for us. All these decisions and this structure is all there. And I turn up to work and I have got no idea what I'm presented with on that day. And you have to just let go of all that control, and things don't unfold how you'd like them to unfold or want them always to unfold. And so that's when you're looking back at yourself, questioning, reflection. Have I done this wrong? Did I not do that? Did I not pick that up? Or should I have made that call earlier? Yeah, it is very juxtaposed in that respect.
I think it's very natural for people when they leave their comfort zones, right, and enter in your environment to overcome that self-doubt. Well, what does work for you to help you overcome those moments of doubt as you've been progressing into your new role?
It's a lived experience. So it's learning through error. For example, I like to point out my flaws before anyone else can. So I've kind of changed that habit of saying, oh, I'm not very good at that. Oh, sorry, I can't do that or not do this. I've had to just, like ballet, put on a character and at work just try and get all my staff, everyone else to believe in me as well, although they believe in me more than I probably believe in myself. But I've taken steps like that to just try and kind of change how I'm being, how I'm perceived, so I can gain that belief. It's in myself again. It's just like ballet, you know, you're putting on a character, and I need to do that in this job too, which is kind of half the fun sometimes, because who you're presented with is so different. And I love that part about meeting that person where they're at and what they need in that moment. You know, this room might need me to be really quiet and gentle. And then this room might need to be like bossy. Let's step this up. Come on, you can do this, like cheerleader to the max type thing. So yeah, that's been interesting.
What was it like for you to stop being Lana the dancer and rebuild who you are? And are you yet thinking of yourself as Lana the midwife, or is that still a work in progress?
It's still a work in progress. I still have moments where I'm in my scrubs and I'm standing in, you know, a birth room and I'm running the room and I'm looking after this woman and her family. And I think to myself sometimes, and I'm just like, wow, there is definitely moments of pride. I let myself feel that lately, like, you have gotten this far. You are doing this now. You can do this. You're just going to keep growing and keep building if I want to.
It sounds like it's been such a difficult transition in so much as you've had to do so much self-learning.
Yeah, very much so. It has been difficult, and I don't really shy away from telling people that. I'm like, it's the hardest thing I've done by far. Getting out on stage now, I feel like I'd be even more a fierce performer. I just would be like, go for it. Yeah, it's been a lot, but I'm proud of myself for sticking it out and doing it, because it's really easy to not.
So what would your advice be for other women who are considering a major career change, especially if they might think it's too hard or it's too late for them? What would you say to them based on your experience?
Oh, it is going to be too hard, and it is going to be too much, and it is going to be seriously uncomfortable. And you're just going to have to know that. And if you want it bad enough, it will be worth it. And you grow so much from being in that uncomfortable space. It's changed my life. I've reinvented myself. I've had to really, really look differently at how I approach my life, my work, and I've had to really learn to love myself through the process, which has been tough, but it's a worthwhile journey to go on. And I feel so happy and fulfilled in where I'm at right now. The growth that I wanted, I think that's the biggest part of this, was that self-growth for me, and that is the most successful part for me. I think I've really loved reinventing myself, and just knowing that you can do it. If you want to do it, you can do it.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Lana. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you.
My absolute pleasure. It's been a real treat. Thank you so much for having me.
Next time on Too Much, hairdresser turned police officer, Detective Senior Sergeant Lamara Fairgrieve on being too accommodating.
Regret is an awful feeling. If you give it a go and have confidence and try something different and you don't like it and you decide that it's not for you, that's okay. But I think that is a better feeling than having this regret.
Too Much is a podcast series proudly supported by Victoria Police, who are looking for more women to join their ranks. Consider making the switch and explore a career with Victoria Police. Visit the link in the show notes or head to police.vic.gov.au.